So, how do we best clean and care for percussion instruments to provide the best care for clients and other students? It's good to know that this training correlates with some of the AMTA professional competencies. It includes Music Foundations and Functional Music Skills 4.4, Music Therapy Foundation and Principles 10.1, Professional Roles and Ethics 17.2, 17.3, and 17.10, and Supervision and Administration 19.2. I personally believe it should fall under therapy implementation, but it doesn't at this time. First, this training is important to consider because of all the populations who use the percussion equipment here at Georgia College, from the CDG to the LEC, country combo, and many music therapy and non-music therapy classes that come in here and use the equipment, whether it's percussion equipment, the piano, or guitars. It's important to be able to explain proper cleaning techniques to new students as new people enter the program, and at times even take it upon ourselves to explain it to faculty or other professionals. A good place to start is simply encouraging others to clean the instruments before and after they use them. I mean, really though, what does this entail, and do we as music therapy students need to follow behind others and clean instruments? Any of our instruments are yours? In theory, we shouldn't have to, but yes, we need to. As professionals in training, we should treat every day as a professional learning experience and perform procedures we would perform in any clinical setting. We should be held to the same healthcare standards as any other healthcare professionals, and maintain safe instruments should be similar to cleaning medical devices. Okay, so what does cleaning percussion instruments during a pandemic look like? Let's look at instruments that might be used during, okay, so I'm gonna restart that. Okay, so what does cleaning percussion instruments during a pandemic look like? Let's look at instruments that might be used during a percussion-based session. So any instruments, percussion instruments, not just drums. We have mallets. We've got wooden, plastic, metal, and cloth. Some of the different instruments are made out of different different products. We've got drum heads that are made of plastic, drum heads that are made of composites, like some of the djembes, and real skin, and even animal gut, and everything requires special attention. So what gets touched the most? The first thought is drum heads and mallets or sticks, but sure, but anything that's held for a period of any time needs to be cleaned before returning it for use by others or even passing it off to someone else. We should include the wooden insides of frame drums, rhythm sticks, and shakers such as maracas or egg shakers. So the common maraca are a good example to start with. This will help us look at two things. The first thing is simply cleaning them, but can we clean all the maracas the same way? And no, we can't clean them the same way, just like we can't clean several different instruments the same way because they're made out of different things. I've got 3 examples of maracas to look at. I've got a plastic one, colored wood, and a lacquered one, like a guitar or violin body. The plastic maracas are the easiest to clean. And you'll see I'm touching it all over just like a client might touch it. And to clean the plastic maracas, they have a wooden handle, which is fine. We simply use applied alcohol wipes or a multi-surface cleaner like 409, making sure that we clean the entire maraca. And then a good thing, you can either hold another disposable wipe or wear one of the rubber gloves that are in the room and use one wipe to hold the maraca and another to wipe it clean. And then before you put it back, keep holding it with the wipe and put it back in its place with that wipe. Now, here's what we need to remember for every single instrument, even non-percussion instruments. When you return it to its shelf, case, or container, use the hand wearing the disposable glove, or the wipe to return it. So if you or someone else touch anything with a bare hand, you risk contaminating it. And this is part of the reason we need to go back and clean everything after someone else uses it. Now let's look at the two types of wooden maracas. So here we need to consider that they're both wooden, which is fine to clean with alcohol, but they have different finishes. The lacquered woods can usually be cleaned with the alcohol-based disinfectants, 409 or even Windex type cleaners. Don't use any hospital-grade disinfectants on any wood though. That includes guitars or violins. It'll ruin the finish and it'll ruin other finishes as well. So the painted maracas are like other painted instruments, and it's a little bit of a different story. You can clean them with alcohol wipes, but it takes the paint off. I learned this the hard way. I had two different mistakes I made. I cleaned the top of it with the wipe, and I looked at the wipe and it was red, and I thought, oh man, I'm bleeding, what's going on? But it wasn't blood, it was from wiping this off. And another time, there was a wipe sitting down, and I set it on top of the wipe, and once I was done, the wipe was red and green. So any of this alcohol is going to take off the color on colored instruments. I don't know a way of avoiding messing up the finish and properly disinfecting the wood. So if you don't want to mess up painted surfaces, don't allow clients to use them. Continue with shakers. I love egg shakers. I love the shakiri and veggie shakers, but any of these can absorb or draw in liquids that can damage the insides of the instruments. So wipe them with alcohol, that's fine, but then dry them immediately. Use cotton cloth or something, and never submerge them in any cleaner or disinfectant. Some of the shakiri, I don't think you can see it here, but it has a hole in it. Even with the shakers or egg shakers, they can soak in water in their little pellets on the inside, or sometimes even seeds or shells on the shakiri. Or shakery, however you'd like to say it. The liquid, once it's drawn in, is going to mess up the beads or the seeds or the shells. So then you've just, you've destroyed another instrument by taking care of it, by cleaning it. So we don't want to do that. Now, mallets are different also in this case. There are two basic types of mallets. And percussionists, I don't want you to detail all of the actual types because there's too many to list. We're just going to call it hard-tipped wood or plastic mallets and soft mallets with cloth or leather heads. The sticks on the mallets, just like regular drumsticks, can be cleaned with alcohol and most other disinfectants. The wood and plastic are fine to disinfect however you want to. Now, some drums do require the use of cloth or leather mallets, and the heads on these may be wiped with alcohol, but it's a good idea really to soak them after they've been handled to really get it clean. Because if you wipe them too much, it's going to mess up the strings on the cloth ones, it's going to take off part of the leather on the leather ones, and even on the regular soft cloth mallets, it's going to slowly eat away at the cloth. Now, when you soak them, this can be done with straight isopropyl alcohol or a detergent soap like Dawn in hot water, and then sit the mallets out and allow them to dry completely. Some people have suggested soaking them in Listerine, but I'm a little skeptical about that. Drum thrones can be cleaned with Windex or a multi-surface cleaner like 409. And then cymbals and gongs, little tin saw bells can be cleaned with disinfectant wipes, but make sure you follow up immediately and dry them with a hand towel or another cotton cloth to get off any residue that's on it so you don't damage the coatings or treatments. It may not look like the cymbal or the chimes or bells have a finish, but they might, so be really careful. And it would be best to treat all instruments, such as xylophones or bells or finger cymbals and triangles, the same way we treat cymbals, gongs, and chimes. but pay attention to any colored metal and don't oversaturate the colored areas, or you may wipe off the color when you wipe off the excess cleaner. Remo has made most of their drums cleanable with alcohol wipes. You'll see the djembe behind me and some of the tubanos underneath here. You can use bleach, store-bought cleaners, multi-surface cleaner like 409, and this can be done on the heads and the bodies alike. I'm gonna grab the small djembe so you can clean every part of it. Natural wood bodies, like this large djembe from Ghana and this peg drum, can also be cleaned with alcohol wipes or disinfectants. I like to clean them with alcohol first, but also regularly use wood oil or pledge to keep the wood hydrated so it doesn't dry out and split. Plus, wood cleaners smell really good to me, so it's another reason I like to do it. Now, Remo does have a drum called the Green and Clean series, and the Green and Clean drums withstand repeated use of hospital grade cleaners. So be careful. Right now, the Green and Clean drums are green and black on the shells, and they have black heads. But this could change, so make sure you know what you're using and make sure you're using the right instruments in a hospital setting. Natural skin heads and gut finished instruments can be cleaned with alcohol or bleach or baby wipes, but because these are natural skin, another step absolutely must be considered and followed. So first, let's consider living skin. Ethyl alcohol, for example, is more dehydrating on living skin, and the CDC states that it should only be used on non-porous surfaces unless it's been modified for cosmetic use, for using it on your face or for hands. But obviously, isopropyl alcohol is more commonly used for disinfectants. It evaporates quickly and doesn't dry out the skin as much as ethyl alcohol, and it's safer to use on porous surfaces. But here's where we need to take an extra step. Real skin. We wash our hands, and our hands slough off dead cells and regenerate. Natural skins used on drums do not regenerate when damaged and can crack and split when dehydrated by repeated cleaning with products that are drying. There's this great music store in Atlanta called Earth Shaking Rhythm, and I was in there talking to the guys once, and they had an entire shipment of natural skin djembes that hadn't been hydrated properly, so when they got them in, it was about 10 drums. It was $4,000 worth of drums. All of the heads had been split because they had gotten dried out too much. So some commercial drums are treated to aid with this, while natural drums, say from West Africa or Cuba or Southeast Asia, probably aren't treated. And you really won't know unless you place the order. So it's better to be safe than sorry. So this is the natural skin protocol in all cases. First, we clean the body and the head with alcohol like we talked about earlier, but then once a week, the heads need to be rehydrated with a natural non-chemical cleaner. And here's two of them. Djembe users suggest palm or coconut oils, and this is red palm from Cuba. And while there are many conditioners created for natural skin borin and for frame drums, these cleaners can be used on any skin. It's just that there are a lot more out there that are listed for borin, but they're strictly for natural skin. So kind of like this frame drum has natural skin, you can use the borin cleaners or conditioners on this. But in any case, since this is a weekly protocol, we don't want to over-condition the skin drum heads because this can also damage them. Okay, I'm gonna go back. In any case, since this is a weekly protocol, we don't want to over-condition skin drum heads because this can also damage them or at least change their timbre. So, we don't want to put a big glob of conditioner on the drums. The safest and most recommended dose is really a fingertip or two. So I'll open it. And I'll just get out a little bit. And there's just a really tiny amount on here, and I know you can't see it unless it's shiny, but you just rub it in really lightly, and just a little bit on your fingertips is going to be enough to cover the entire drum head. If there's still hair on it, like on this one, follow the grain of the hair or if there's, a definite pattern in the skin, follow the direction of the pattern in the skin. So for gut drums, or drums with gut handles, I know we looked at this a second ago, this is a gut drum, and it looks like it's plastic because it's see-through, but it's not. It's real live gut skin, untreated, so it needs to be handled the same way as those drums. And then with this buffalo drum, it's untreated all the time, it's got gut on the back. So I still have some of the conditioner on my fingers. So like this handle here, you would just rub it lightly across the handle. You're not trying to overcoat the skin or gut like you're polishing a car or greasing something. Just lightly cover it and it'll be fine. So some final points. Percussion instruments are great for clients. Don't discount using percussion instruments of any kind. Different clients have different needs, and you should consider the therapeutic uses of music always. A muted natural skin frame drum may be better than a manufactured djembe. And maracas may be better than bells or egg shakers. You just really need to do what's best for your client. Use all of the resources available, even if it means a little extra care. Everything we choose to do is for the surface and health of our clients. So, we need to pay attention to that when choosing instruments, whether it's a guitar, piano, or any of the percussion instruments. Now, one thing I did during a group session where all of the participants were playing a tongue drum for the first time, what I did was I took some of the mallets and I held the tongue drum in one arm, and I held the head of the mallets like that, and I went around with the single tongue drum, and every time I got to a new participant, they would pull out one of the mallets with their own hands. So all I'd been touching was the head of the mallet with the disinfectant wipe. They got a clean mallet that way. And just like a pen at a doctor's office, once the participants were done with it, they turned it in at the end of the session for cleaning, and we maintained all of the guidelines necessary for taking care of the equipment for clients. And I know this is basically about cleaning the instruments, but I'd really like everyone to be aware of some preventative maintenance that should be observed. I've seen drums, being used that are missing screws on the handles, and have damaged heads, the feet and the bodies. I've seen broken mallets just sticking out of the containers. These are things clients might reach into. And this is really important whether there's a virus outbreak or not. Damaged instruments can hurt or injure clients. If the broken feet or handles cause the instruments to fall on individuals, or think about how some edges on percussion instruments could cut individuals. Now, we do carry personal liability insurance, but do we really want to endanger our clients? So here are a few examples that need to be looked out for and reported to your department head or any assistants that you have, whoever's in charge of repairs and maintenance. If you can do it yourself and you have permission to, go ahead and try it. For example, this peg drum, when it was received, again, it was received from Ghana, there was really no way that we could send it back, and we didn't know anyone who could repair it. So this peg was sticking out almost like a spike, and I decided, because I've had a little woodworking skill, that I was going to make a new peg for it. So I took it, reshaped a piece of hardwood, and carved a new peg for it, put it back in and tuned it up, and it was fine. So if you can do that and you have permission to do it, go ahead and do that. So finally, white vinegar cannot kill the coronavirus, no matter what you've heard. There's a list of over 500 cleaners on the EPA website listed as COVID-19 disinfectants, and some are fine for instruments while others really aren't. The first thing I looked for on the website was the surface type that could be cleaned, followed by the formulation, which also covers preparation. That way I knew what was safe and what wasn't safe. So check the EPA website for updates. And I just want to thank everybody, and I hope this improves your skills serving your clients and others using percussion instrument in the clinical or education setting. Thanks a lot.